because he was talking about what happened. And he was talking about Miss Pat, because Miss Pat's thing, it went, went viral or whatever. So Funky was on an episode of the Miss Pat show on season 1. Or maybe season 2. Maybe it was season 1 or season 2. I can't think which one. But he was on it before. And so this is what Funky Dineva said he felt, or how he sees Miss Pat.
Hell, I'm finna go ahead and tell it. Child, I worked on that damn Miss Pat show on BET. I'm gonna be very honest with y'all. If I don't ever have to work with Pat again, if I never in my damn life have to ever work on a set with Miss Pat again, it will be too soon. Miss Pat was the most rudest, most unprofessional bitch I have ever experienced in a working environment.
Woo! Child. Is everybody airing out their old bosses and their old jobs? Is that what's going on? Child, not me, girl.
She was rude. She was unprofessional. She was ignorant as all hell. And she was very demeaning to everybody on that doggone on that team. I will never, ever, ever, ever forget. Ever forget. We were sitting down in the middle of the studio for a table read. Because in the mornings, we read to go over the script. She walked in the middle of everybody reading, and I'm not lying. There's 30, 40 people there that can attest to this. She walked in and she said, don't nobody this morning say an MFing thing to me if they don't want to have to deal with me at the type of morning that I'm going through.
I said, well, damn, bitch. What you going through? What's happening? Now, I believe again, this is from around season 1 that he's talking about. So this is probably a couple years ago.
And so, mind you, at the time, I only got 2 little lines. So I'm sitting there in my mind thinking to myself, who in the hell is she talking to? I'm looking at her like, who in the hell is she talking to? Because I'm only here for a small cameo and it's 2 lines. And I promise you, I have no problem leaving. That's what was going through my mind. I have no problem leaving because it's not even really paying me anything. And I'm thankful for the opportunity, but I'm not going to be spoken to. And granted, she was not talking to me directly. She was not speaking to me directly. It was a circle of us. She was speaking to everybody.
Leaving. Collecting my things and leaving.
Then outside of that, she goes, "Can somebody go get my breakfast?" And that was the cue for, I guess, the production assistants to run to the back and go get her breakfast. Mind you, breakfast is set up early and everybody, goes and gets their respective breakfast and comes down and eats. Now, here's the thing. Here is why I was disappointed. I was extremely disappointed because when you look up at all of the signage in the place, it says The Miss Pat Show. It says The Miss Pat Show. And I'm like, wow, this was very disappointing because you are the leader of all of this. You are the leader of all of this. Every paycheck, every job in this room is predicated upon you. And this is the way you come in and you treat people and you speak to people. And I'm going to be honest with you. Here is what it gave for me.
Now, let me say something, because season 1 aired in 2021. So it may have been shot in 2020. I'm not sure, but I believe he was on season 1 because it was the first season, and that aired in 2021. So they may have shot the stuff around 2020. And I'm not making excuses for Miss Pat at all, but I do want to just preference, child. Hopefully she better now, child, because that's mean. Because you can't be mean, rude, and nasty to people. You can't do that. You cannot be mean, rude, and nasty to people who you're their boss. That just ain't how life goes. Now, also, hopefully, because if he only did 1 episode, I hope she said sorry to them people, because, ma'am, if you come in here airing it like that, I'm going to cuss your ass out right back. Because who you talking to? So, but he's only giving what he went through for the 1 episode he did. But again, I'm assuming it was around 2020 or 2021. What
it gave is, I am a ghetto, ignorant, bitch.
Child, not ghetto. Child. Now, Miss Pat has also said she used to sell drugs. She's went to prison. She dealt with a lot of childhood abuse. She was molested. Her mom was because the show shows all of her life, how her mom allowed the boyfriend to come in and physically abuse and sexually abuse them. How she so like all her first baby daddy, she was pregnant at a teenager. He was in his 20s. So I just want to preface it in saying she also did not have the best upbringing. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to it's not me trying to make excuses, but I'm saying sometimes you don't know better, you can't do better. And sometimes when folk get into the industry and it's their first thing, they're complete assholes. You have to fix that. Because to me, my opinion is they would not or should not have gave her 3 more seasons if she treated the staff like that. And I also feel like, right, Tammy ain't having that shit. You know what I'm saying? Tammy ain't having it. And I feel like in recent time, because I watched the show, you know, and when I watched some behind the scenes stuff and I've heard Tammy discuss how pleasant things are on set now, I do wonder if since that situation, things have gotten better. You know, I just want to say that. No, it's not like that at all. It's the show is not like the movie Precious. It isn't. They do discuss stuff that happened to her when she was a kid, but the show is about her current life with her adult children. So it's not a sad show. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It be some tough scenes, some emotional scenes, but it's nothing like Precious. It's just her addressing what happened to her when she was younger and how that has affected her as she's an adult. It's a really great show. Like it's very like I really suggest people watch it. You know, even the conversation they have about Tammy Roman plays her sister, who is the recovering drug addict. You know, her youngest, her older 2 kids' dad. They discuss how child he was, too old to be hurt. You know what I'm saying? So it's a comedic exploration of generational curses that a lot of folks go through. So I'm saying, and also because I watched her interview on the Breakfast Club, and she discussed how in season 1, she discussed how her sister is a crackhead in real life. You know, her sister dealt with the childhood trauma by getting high. She said, I was eating food and got fat, but I buried it all down. She said after doing the show, during the first season, how it broke her and it opened up all these old wounds. So I do also feel like a part of that mean rudeness could have really come from her having to act out and have conversations about painful stuff she hadn't dealt with. Now, that don't mean to deal with that shit going off on folks at work. Fix that. But I do hope that sis, what he experienced, that she fixed that shit.
From the slums of Atlanta, who not used to having nothing. I'm from the streets. I sold drugs and I went to prison. Now I have 2 nickels to rub together and I'm rich and I'm better than everybody. And this is how you act when you're rich. You know those people who think, oh, when they get something that you're supposed to demean people and talk down to people and act like this. That's all of what she was giving. And in that very moment, I lost all respect for Miss Pat. I was like, wow. Wow.
That was his experience. We can't negate what he experienced or whatever. But I'm like, I also just to preface it, I don't know if Funky watched the whole interview or if Funky only watched the parts where she talked about Big Tigger, because later on past that she discussed how hard it was filming season 1. She discussed having to open up old wounds of what she went through. So I'm just saying all of that play a part. You know what I'm saying? Because some folks say that he's been mean and nasty because he's having a bad day. So I just want us all to give people a little bit of grace. And also where she was 4 years ago, she may not be that person now. But if she is, she wrong. If she's still that same person, that's wrong. But I also feel like, Totally depends. Okay. But that's what he experienced. Back to this part of it all. Okay. If it was a situation to where she told them I'm going to resign because of whatever reason, and they fired her first, I get her being pissed. Because if I ain't supposed to be here, why fire me before I quit? I'm leaving anyway. And I think her point was not they didn't just fire me, they also fired Shamia. And that was her point. They fired both me and Shamia because Tigger felt some kind of way. Now I don't know what was going on with Shamia, but again they got rid of both of the female co-hosts. So child, we shall see. But okay, but this is what he said today.
And I had missed calls from some of everybody. I don't know if y'all watched the show last night, but I did the Big Tigger story about Miss Pat. Miss Pat quit the Big Tigger show, or she got fired, whatever, before her situation was up, and she went on the Breakfast Club and called Big Tigger a hater. And then that story prompted me just to tell my experience and what I experienced on the set of the Miss Pat show. Well, apparently, Miss Pat and team got a hold of the video, and Miss Pat this morning got to calling around Atlanta, calling various people that we know in common, and was upset. Told one person to tell their friend to keep my MF name keep her MF name out my mouth. And that I lied on her, that I'm lying, that never happened, and that if I had that problem, why didn't I talk to her or talk to one of the producers? And she, called multiple people that were trying to get my phone number, whatever the case may be, saying how she liked me and how she got a new show coming out and that she planned to put me in her new show. How convenient. Here's what I want to say. Miss Pat, there's nothing for you and I to discuss, love. There is absolutely nothing for you and I to discuss. We're not friends. I don't work for you. I don't work with you. I don't have any interest in ever working with you again. I don't have anything personal against you whatsoever. And by no means was I trying to malign you, your business, or that production. I was simply sharing my experience. Now, things get a little upsetting when folks call you liars. When folks call you liars about something that you experienced firsthand. All right. So if I need to jog your memory, Miss Pat, it was one of the mornings. We were in a circle. Mary Lou was the director. We were in a circle. We were east of the bleachers. Over there where y'all's permanent set is, we were east of the bleachers, sitting in a circle. Everyone had their scripts and whatnot in their laps. You were late that morning. You were late because you had whatever event that was going on that upset you. While we were reading and doing our work, you stormed in upset and you said something to the effect of, "Don't a Nan M Alpha say nothing to me today, because if you do, yada, 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 you gonna get it the way what I done been through this morning or the way I feel this morning." You said something very rude and disgruntled to the group. You were not talking to anyone in particular. You were not talking to me directly. You said it out loud. And then you exclaimed very loudly and very rudely for somebody to go get my breakfast. Listen, love, I have no skin in this game, no dog in the fight. I have absolutely no reason whatsoever to pull this story out of thin air and to lie on you. As a matter
now,
for a fact, I actually...
That's a bad that's a bad pause. I just feel like, let me wind a little bit, like 2 minutes. I feel like I'm trying to pick a good pause and I can't pick it. Okay. Now, I'm gonna say this. Okay, we'll keep watching. I think it's weird all the way around. This is my opinion. I feel like he has a right to be offended that she made some phone calls and was implying that he was lying. Because like I said yesterday, that is that man's experience. And nobody can tell him what he went through. I do agree with that. However, I also feel like the weird thing was, child, he tried to spray Miss Pat. Okay? Because Miss Pat was on there with the Breakfast Club discussing what she went through with Big Tigger and how she felt. And because he was reporting on the story, he put in what he went through, which is fine. But I do feel like if you this is like if you don't know someone has an issue with you, if you don't know, even if you did something even if you did something that you always do, because he said she messy or whatever, that is lighting like crazy. Even if that happens, I still feel like, y'all hear thunder? It's loud. I still feel like it would come off to somebody else as if you are on your channel to your 10,000, 15,000 viewers, and you're spraying me as being a mean, rude, hateful bitch. I do feel like she has a right to also be upset the same way he was when she was being rude on the set. You know? And I was like, if you're going to expose people, I fuck you. Won't you expose Claudia? I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the same way with the TGIF folk. You know, and he don't want to speak on that because he used to be on TGIF. He isn't anymore. You know, and I'm like, tell us what happened on TGIF. Fuck what happened on this. Forget what happened on the Miss Pat shit. On the Miss Pat set. What happened at TGIF? Let us know that tea. Who was the mean person behind the scenes? Thank you, LED, for the Cash App. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let us know who was the person on TGIF set. Who was the hater? Who was that? That's what I want to know. Okay? I want to know who did that. Now, let's keep listening.
You're not talking to me directly. You said it out loud. And then you exclaimed very loudly and very rudely for somebody to go get my breakfast. Listen, love, I have no skin in this game, no dog in the fight. I have absolutely no reason whatsoever to pull this story out of thin air and to lie on you. As a matter of fact, I actually was not going to address it again on the show because I don't want any static with you and I don't want any bad blood with your production.
You sure? You sure? Because I feel like if nobody, again, it's the thing of if nobody knew something happened, if phone calls were happening behind the scenes, if private phone calls was happening, and Miss Pat, her people were trying to get in touch with you through who they knew, again, someone comes to social media to publicly address it, you know, is a thing. It's a thing. You know, and that, you know, he has a right to do what he wants to do on his channel, period. However, you also can't be surprised that somebody who had no idea or they don't remember what they did, you know, 3-4 years ago, and you bring it up in connection to her being fired from the radio show, I feel like she would be pissed. I do think she'll be pissed off. I wish that whoever Miss Pat got to, and she was saying how she was upset about it, I wish they would say, hey, Funky, talk to her. Because even if you do not want to work with her, it do seem like I don't like you, bitch, fuck you, and I'm going to read you on my show again because I'm pissed that you called my friends to say you mad at me. And I'm like, but what is that, child? Guy up there moving furniture. Okay. Lord, okay. So I do feel like it comes off a little bit like, you know, everybody doing the same thing. Everyone is doing the same thing. Like, period, you know?
However, I thought to myself, you know, based on people who I know around you and what I experienced on your production, that people are scared of you. People are scared of you, whether they're scared to get fired or whether they're just scared of your demeanor or whether they're scared of the hostile environment that would be created on your set if they spoke up for themselves. And that's why some of your bad behavior goes unchecked. And because people are scared of you.
Now, I'm trying to put pen to paper, put point to point. Okay. Dot my T's and cross my I's. I know I said it backwards. I feel like when I heard him say that, I said that's true. You do want to call people out on their bad behavior because the powers that be or just folks around them won't call it out. What happened on TGIF? If we gonna what happened on TGIF before it was cut off? What I was saying was him saying, I want to speak up for those who you have done wrong to and you have made the set uncomfortable. I'm still wondering what happened on TJF set. Like, who did it? Was it Claudia? Was it Al? Was it the producer? I feel like that's what I want to hear. Okay, but I'm gonna finish.
I said, you know what? I'm going to make it my business to reiterate what happened. And I'm going to speak for the people on your production who don't have a voice because they are scared to speak. You were rude that morning. You were rude. You were very nasty. And not only were you rude and nasty that day, that was just the rudest and the nastiest of the moments. There were other moments during that week that I was there that you were extremely unprofessional. You were. Okay. You have a reputation with the people that you work with. Everybody from hair and makeup up through the people with the sticks and stuff of being rude and nasty. And Pat, daughter, we got to keep it real, daughter. Pat, if you are honest with yourself, you know that you do walk around that set and conduct yourself in a less than professional manner.
What happened on TJ? I'm going to keep asking that question. What happened on TJ? Again, I'm not saying Pat wasn't whatever, because I wasn't there. I'm just saying because the reason we're even having this discussion was because she came on discussing her being fired. Al called Funky because he was pissed off at what Armand said. The hiatus, all this stuff to me coincides with each other. And I just want to know who is the culprit. Because I'm like, clearly, Funky don't care about airing folk out because he ain't there no more. He no longer work on Miss Pat show no more. He gone from there right now. Okay, you gone from TJF2. Fucking let us know what happened. What happened? What happened? What's good for the goose should be good for the gander. And I also feel like Pat being fired. Pat said why they let her go from V103 and Tigger and them, because she was doing promotion and she was on the Breakfast Club, and she should not have been because she was a radio host on V103. So she said that they called her into the thing and said, hey, you was at the Breakfast Club for a week. Look at this. And they show her footage of what she did that made them let her go. So I feel like she never said, she never made it seem like she ain't do shit. She did something. She just thought they would keep her. And she felt like Tigger helped push her and Shimmy out. Because let's not forget, her thing was they didn't just fire me, they fired me and Shimmy. The both of us, okay? So I'm just saying, what happened on TJF?
You know that you do walk around that set and talk to people crazy. You know that you do walk around that set and curse. And for whatever producers who were on the line with you when you called T.S. Madison.
Not child. T.S. like.
So now why am I in it? And you could have did it.
See how I get wrong in stuff?
Because what I do. But see, that's what happened when you call people. And you call people's people, they're going to say, child, Pat called me Funky. Did she, Tiff? Girl. And she was pissed at you. So Funky said, yeah, you called T.S. Madison, my friend.
And y'all made it y'all business to express that y'all feelings were hurt. My apologies for hurting your feelings. It was never my intention to hurt your feelings, and it's not my intention then, nor is it now, to malign your production.
I also feel like the reason Pat could have been upset wasn't... But that was okay. I feel like Pat's issue could have been not that he said how she acted, but he then said you a mean, nasty bitch. I think the way he said how she was could have been offensive. But I'm like, if Miss Pat, if you around here cussing folks out, bitch, take the bitch. If you around here cussing folks out and stuff, you can't be surprised if somebody has an issue with you and uses the same language to use towards other people. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying.
But whomever the producer and or producers were, you're not doing Pat a favor by upholding her in her wrong and not acknowledging the fact that she does conduct herself like this on that set.
So how does Claudia act on set? how did Al act on set? Because a lot of folk tuned in yesterday to hear him say what had happened on TJ. And he gave enough, as he gave context clues to what was going on or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
I have no reason to lie on this lady. I have no reason to lie on this lady.
And I don't think he's lying. I think what he said happened absolutely happened. I think it absolutely happened. I also think if that's how he felt, I think Pat's issue now is, why didn't you just call me and tell me? Pat, because he didn't want to.
And instead of y'all coddling her in this moment, somebody needs to look at her and be honest and say, sis, this is a moment of reflection and a moment for accountability. Listen, Pat, we all screw up. I'm not nailing you to the cross. We all screw up. I've been less than professional on jobs before. It happened.
Someone said it. Someone said he was being unprofessional, disrespectful. What about Chloe? So, again, everybody has had their day of bad behavior. So that also begs the question, if you've done it too, even as of late, if you've had any kind of bad behavior or professionalism or whatever, if you've done it too, is it fair to be so pissed at her for doing something years ago that you've done too? So Nell seems pretty sharp. She called Tigger out and told behind the door. But I think my point with that is, cool. We want to know what happened on TGIF. I'm trying to get the information.
Happens. Just correct it. That's all. It really is that simple. Just correct it.
Now, that was asking again. Question. If that happened on set, let's say in 2020, whatever happened, how do we know that is how she act now? Is my first question. And if you had no dinners with her, how do we know if no one's checked her? Question. And if it's about fixing it, doesn't that require a conversation? Because you are seeing the one who she offended in her actions. So wouldn't that mean let's have a bit of a conversation because she offended you? Maybe her way of correcting it can be, you know what? I'm sorry. I did not mean to do that. Because if every person that you offended, and if every time you had a bad day and that person kept you in mind to who you were on your worst day, on that bad day, won't shit be fixed?
If it didn't happen, I'd never have nothing to talk about. As far as, oh, you liked me and you weren't going to give me a cameo on your other show. You was going to give me a real role. How convenient. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. And if you were, thanks, but no thanks. I don't have any interest in working with you. And as far as I was going to give him a role, please let it be known you're not the gatekeeper to my success, love. I've been the girl in that picture for over 13 years. Oh, also to address your other part about I'm doing it for clicks and views. Your name, likeness, picture, or this story was not mentioned in any of the promo, in the title, or in the thumbnail. There were no clicks and views to be given associated with that story, you, and this mess. So that's that on that. I don't want no smoke. I don't want it to be no bad blood, but no one's going to cheat me out of my experience, nor call around to people that I know and try to make me out to be a liar for something that I experienced from them on their set.
Child, I think everybody pissed. Funky pissed. Miss Pat pissed. Hey, I'm pretty sure Tigger somewhere pissed too. Everybody pissed. But the get you gotcha of it is nobody is having a conversation with the other person. Al pissed at Claudia and called Funky, and that shit happened. Okay. Funky still pissed at Miss Pat, and he came around here and said some shit. Miss Pat still pissed about Tigger. And everybody's still mad about something. And Miss Pat even said that when Charlamagne asked Miss Pat, well, did Tigger call you? I blocked that bitch. So the same way she blocked Tigger from what he did back in 2023, Funky don't want to take any calls from Miss Pat. Even if Miss Pat could be called and say, I don't remember that. I don't recall it happening that way. Maybe I was a bit more bitchy back then and I'm different. Now, we don't know. But my opinion is, I sometimes feel like sometimes when you piss off, you don't see the fact that y'all all sitting in the forest. Everybody's sitting in the forest yelling at somebody for something. And because everyone in the force, no one is saying, hey, we all doing the same thing. We are all doing the exact same thing. Miss Pat fussing about Big Tigger. Funky pissed at Miss Pat for what she did before. Al pissed at whoever what happened before. They won't discuss the TGIF shit, but they're gonna discuss Miss Pat. You know what I'm saying? I feel like everybody doing the same thing. Why? Because everyone had an experience with somebody they ain't like. Everyone is pissed because of the experience with somebody they did not like. But no one is saying, you know what? Let's have a grown-up conversation and let me check the situation. Because sometimes trying to check people publicly about some shit we ain't gonna happen, it causes ripples. It causes ripples. So even Miss Pat discussing publicly her issues with Tigger made Funky discuss publicly his issues with her. When Miss Pat then called people privately to try to get in touch with Funky Dineva, Q said, I won't talk to a hell to the no. And now he back on his channel reading her again. Why? Because he's pissed off. And ain't shit fixed. TGIF is on hiatus still. Miss Pat's show is still on the BT Plus. Funky show is still on YouTube. Ain't shit changed for nobody except Al, Claudia, and Armand. So all I'm saying is, sometimes when we trying to say, listen, daughter, sometimes listen, son, because everybody pissed. If I'm like, child, girl, what the fuck did Claudia do? Y'all, my whole thing is, what happened? Oh, who? Because again, if Miss Pat is the villain on her set, who is the villain at TGIF? Call that out. Let's call out all the bad behavior. Okay. Child, anyway, y'all. I think that was all you said.
It happened. It happened. Let's move right along.
Oh, that was it. That was it. Y'all, sometimes we have things that happen. Child, this all I want to know right here. I just want to know. I just want to know. You know what I'm saying? I've said it before, and that's because I after my live in the yesterday, I went on Alex's page, and we was live on Alex's page last night, and we were talking about all of this stuff, and I said, look, I will consistently say, when there are behind the scenes drama that happened, that shit should not get to the public. Handle that shit privately. Handle it privately. And if you're gonna address one person for being bad on set, address it all. What happened on the TGIF sets? Okay, what happened there? That's the golden ticket. That's the golden ticket. Speaking of some golden bullshit tickets, okay, we're gonna move on from that.